In this video, we will demonstrate how to install the Leviton 1450R and 1450W 50-amp heavy-duty power receptacles. When installing and terminating this Leviton device, have the following tools on hand: a handheld voltage tester, a torque wrench with a 5/32" hex bit, a flathead screwdriver, electrician's pliers, a wire stripper, a 5/32" hex key, and electrical tape. Please be certain to follow all wiring instructions and diagrams provided with the product and on the Leviton website. If you are unsure about any part of the instructions, or if you are not comfortable or familiar with working with electrical wiring, contact an electrician. Installation takes approximately 15 minutes. Be sure to turn the power off at the circuit breaker, and use a voltage tester to ensure that the power is completely off. If you need to remove an existing device, do so now, and then cap off the exposed wires and separate them. Before proceeding, be sure to document or label wires for future reference. Now we need to identify the two hot wires. To do this, turn the circuit breaker back on. Carefully use the voltage tester to test each wire. Follow the instructions on your tester to identify the hot wires. Once identified, turn off the circuit breaker to shut power and test to ensure the power is off. Use a small piece of electrical tape to label the hot wires. In this example, there are two black wires which are the hot wires, a white wire that is the neutral, and a green wire which is the ground. Keep in mind, the color of the wires can vary. The hot wires may be two black wires or a black and a red wire. The ground wire could be bare copper. If you are unsure, contact an electrician. Before wiring, it is important that you identify the terminals on the back of the device to ensure that you are wiring it correctly. The terminals labeled X and Y are for the hot wires, the terminal labeled W is for the neutral wire, and the terminal labeled G is for the ground wire. Next, you need to be sure that the wires are prepared for installation. Start by making sure the wires are straight and stripped, exposing 11/16 inch of conductor. It is critical that the wires are stripped accurately. Stripping wires too short may result in pinching insulation between screw and terminal. It is important that conductors are not damaged during this process. If damage occurs, cut off the section and re-strip the wire. Start with one of the hot wires and feed it into the terminal labeled X. Use a 5/32" hex key and tighten the terminal screw to secure. Take the other hot wire and insert it into the terminal labeled Y. Insert the neutral wire into the terminal labeled W. Then insert the ground wire into the terminal labeled G. Next, hold the device securely and use a torque wrench with a 5/32" hex bit to tighten each terminal screw in a clockwise direction. Be sure to tighten all terminal screws to 75 inch-pounds. The torque must be maintained for a minimum of 5 seconds, with a constant torque reading of 75 inch-pounds. This is an important note. Once all terminals have been torqued to 75 inch-pounds for 5 seconds each, repeat the process a second time to ensure all wires are correctly connected to the device. The device is now terminated. Now that everything is wired, insert the product in the wall box. Screw in the mounting screws in the wall box mounting holes, and then attach the wall plate. Restore power at the circuit breaker. Note that the 1450W weather-resistant model must be protected by a properly sized weather-resistant cover and must be wired downstream from GFCI protection. Your Leviton 50-amp heavy-duty power receptacle is now ready for use.